time. It's time. It's time. It's Commissioner Cooper, and it's time for TSS Fantasy. Yeah. 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 It's Commissioner Cooper, and it's time.
How the fuck you got me up this damn early, Jason?
It's time.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's Commissioner Cooper, and it's time for TSS Fantasy.
Yeah!
Unreal, this guy. All right. If you're looking at our screen right now, I know you might be like, whoa, who the hell is that guy? If you are in our listening audience, we'd like everyone to raise up and clap your hands, put your hands together, because Mike the Straw Hernandez is back home. Welcome to the studio.
Indeed. Thank you, fellas. Wow, what an intro. I'm impressed. What's going on? It's good to see everybody, even though I see y'all all the time. It's good. What's up, Nick?
How we doing, Straw?
Take no shit. I told you, don't take no shit.
I learned from the best, sir.
That's right. He's definitely been inciting your memory as he's defended himself on the show, I have to say, quite a few times. All right, so since we're talking to him, let's welcome to the studio Nick. You got Flandered Macaronis.
Yes, I am Nick. You got Flandered Macaronis, and you can find me at Twitter at You Got Flandered. And don't forget about our Christmas gifts. If you go to our website, Belly Up and TSS Fantasy, you can buy Christmas gifts. Start early. Don't be a Grinch. All right? Get your gifts early. Don't wait for the discount, because there is none.
Ho, 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 indeed, even for our own products. Gotta love it. Now that you did mention that, by the way, I did want to mention we will have a new website. It'll be our own website very soon for our own merch. So we'll keep a lookout. Nick will certainly be telling you all about that once it gets loaded up. Then the final but not least, of course, welcome to the studio, Fred the Jester Reyes.
I'm back again. Follow me at TSS Jester on Twitter. Send me some, I don't know, anything. I want to talk shit about something.
Set up lineup questions, rank questions, things like that. That's what we're here for, to help you. We are the fantasy show.
Cooking questions, whatever.
Yeah, cooking. You can tell by that stomach. He definitely can answer that for you. So, again, we are the fantasy show, the people. So please interact with us. All of our social media sites, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. The Straw will be adding his shortly. I know he tried to make an attempt today, and it was a little bit off cue. So we're gonna try to fine tune that and add that to our base. So you can interact, send your lineup questions, things like that. Also, check us out on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. They have everything under the sun, from racing to wrestling to hockey, anything you can imagine that they have. So lots of great shows. And you can check us out every morning on Unhinged Radio at 8 to 9 a.m. Make us part of your morning commute. We are the fantasy show of the people. All right, there's my shameless little plug. Let's get on to our week 2 review. So we're gonna start with Sunday night's game, because let's be honest, man, what a great game that was. And I'll be perfectly honest, from the wake up with TSS Fantasy to the travel down to Miami to the very saddened road back. I fell asleep after the second quarter, unfortunately, and didn't get to see what a great game it was until this morning. But again, great game last night. The Ravens pulled it out. Lamar Jackson, again, coming out looking looking like Lamar Jackson, played very well. 239 passing yards and the touchdown, but the big fantasy points came in with 107 yards rushing and 2 TDs for Lamar last night. So that's big. That's big money. I know Nick's always said he's more of a runner than a passer. Well, he's certainly shown improvement in that as we begin. And then Pat Mahomes as well, though, on the other side, he obviously came up big as well. 334 yards for him with 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, and just 3 yards rushing, nothing really to speak of there. So again, having his normal night. Travis Kelce having his normal night, 109 yards, 7 receptions, and a touchdown. Things like that. So let's go to you guys real quick. No big injuries happen out of that ball game. So anyone you guys see out of there that really strikes to you, or somebody that somebody to look out for next week, things like that. Straw, we'll start with you.
I mean, I saw the Ravens just non-relentless or just killing it with the run. I mean, they're built for it. They do it no matter what, who's in there. They are that team when it comes to the run. But more importantly, I think that now you got to talk about Lamar Jackson being that number one. I mean, he is now might have hit that point where, to be the coach looking at you and being like, it's 4th down. Do we go for it? You know what I'm saying? And for Lamar to look back at his coach like, hell yeah, I want to run for it. That was just cool to see. And I mean, you're talking about it being a key point early in the season. This is going to boost Lamar very much, and in my book. But Patrick was Patrick, showing how he could pass it out to different receivers, even when they take away Tyreek and Kelce. The QBs was what I was loving last night.
Indeed. Nick, I know you're a big Lamar hater, so what's your take on the game?
No, I'm not a really big Lamar hater. It's just the fact that they call him a quarterback, but yet all he does is run, right? So that's what they say about Shaq. All he does is dunk, but you know what? Points are points. What I want to bring up is I was surprised, number one, how low or how ineffective Tyreek Hill was last night. I knew that they were going to cover him a lot, but they just threw a blanket on him and said, there you go. He had 4 targets, 3 catches for 14 yards. He might have been the chump of the week as far as receivers goes. And you know what? I'm shocked. And we kind of knew it talking with Dr. Miller. I think something is wrong with Clyde Edwards-Helaire because in these past 2 games, I don't think he's broken 70 yards rushing. I think there's something wrong there. I think they're trying to nurse him along. But those would be the 2 things. I did expect the Chiefs to win the game, but that's not fantasy relevant, so I'll try to stay away from that. And just those 2. I mean, Lamar being Lamar. Lamar, just give me the ball, coach.
Fred, what you think?
Well, most of you guys said everything already, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Really quickly, Chiefs should have won the game. I don't like Helaire fantasy-wise. I said this. He was not a first-round pick for me. And I don't know why young running backs always stick out the ball. Why? It gets punched out. Other than that, I mean, there was no defense to the game. Lamar did his thing. I just worry about his future. That's a long way to go, 15 games doing what he does.
Yo, I wanted to also say Latavius Murray, he is just – I mean, he just started with this team. And when he's back in that backfield, he looks just like Lamar. So I think Murray's going to be on the up too.
Yeah, but Tyson Williams actually ran really, really well too. So you're right. But I think Latavius, he's in shape, so he's ready to go. So yeah, like you said, they really showed out the running game last night. That's for sure. All right, speaking of the running game, let's go to another big fantasy relevant game: the Tennessee Titans against the Seattle Seahawks, and a game where I was really excited about earlier, and now not so much. Ryan Tannehill, 347 yards in the air. So had a great day, but did not get in the end zone. And he had 27 yards on the ground. Big day, obviously. Derrick Henry, 182 yards, 3 touchdowns. And here was the surprise, 65 yards. So Derrick Henry had a huge day all the way around. Julio Jones, 6 receptions, 128 yards. It was it looked like basically once they set that run up where they just kept running it was just an easy play action to Julio at that point. On the other side, Russell Wilson still doing his thing, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns, 16 yards on the ground. Chris Carson had a good day only because he got in the end zone. He had 31 yards, but 2 touchdowns, and didn't see any targets as far as receiving goes. Tyler Lockett continues to be the big play guy in Seattle this year. 8 receptions, 178 yards, and the touchdown as well. Big fantasy day, one of those fantasy bonanzas. I still haven't came up with the phrase yet. So big day overall, and it was a great fantasy game if you had someone in it. Anything that you can, anything big that you took out of the game? And we'll start with you, Nick.
Man, I had in our dynasty league, I had the misfortune of playing against Derrick Henry, and man, he got 50 points. He got 50 points. Who'd ever thought that he would outgain AJ Brown? So I mean, it was just like, again, this season so far, it's only been 2 games, but it's been proven to be a little weird lately. Things are a little out of place, but it is what it is, and that's it, man. That's all I got on that.
Brad?
So for me, it's got to be the defenses. I was in one of my leagues, and somebody started I believe it was the Tennessee, it was the Seattle defense. I'm starting neither one of these defenses. Russell's going to throw it everywhere, and Tennessee's going to run it everywhere. Stay away from it. Stay away from these defenses when they play each other. It was not a good play, and that's where mine was. They gave up a lot of points.
Indeed. Mike?
I want to get big up to Tannehill because, I mean, to throw for 300-plus yards against that Seattle team with Henry running the way he ran, I mean, his completion rate was that good, but that was against Wagner and the bunch. So, I mean, I thought, we got Julio involved for once. So now Henry benefited from a little bit more of a bounce. They blanketed Brown almost all game. So that was what they focused the defense on. So I thought Tannehill did a pretty good job throwing for 347.
Yeah, indeed. Like I said, it was big fantasy bonanza day in that one. Let's go to another fantasy bonanza, and let's go to the Vikings and the Cardinals. Another great game. Kirk Cousins, again, doing Kirk Cousins things, 244 yards, 3 TDs. Dalvin Cook had a decent day, 131 yards on the ground. He also caught 2 balls for 17 yards. However, he got injured twice during the game. Came in, but came back out, and then came back in, and then came back out again. So, something to monitor going forward. Justin Jefferson, 6 receptions, 65 yards, a touchdown. The surprise of the day, KJ Osborne, 5 receptions, 91 yards, and a touchdown. So, we'll be maybe discussing him in the waiver wire in a second. And Cardinals, Kyler Murray. I mean, again, he was my number 1 quarterback for a reason. 403 TDs. Again, when you're constantly throwing the foot.
Technical difficulties.
Are you still there?
Yeah, we are.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Well,
you guys are there, right? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and repeat that last part, bro. You broke up.
Okay, my bad. All right, so basically, all I was basically saying was the Vikings had a great day, and then I was talking about Kyler Murray, who's Kyler Murray, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, doing his thing. Also 5 rushes, 31 yards, and a TD on the ground as well. So Kyler Murray, again, he was number 1 for a reason. But maybe the surprise out of the Cardinals was Rondell Moore, 7 receptions, 111 yards, and a touchdown. So, yeah. Fred, anything you take out of that game?
I got Kyler Moore on multiple fantasy teams. He's a winner. He's running the team, and the coach is letting him do whatever he wants. But I do have Rondell Moore. I left him on the bench because I didn't know how to think about him. And, man, he looks like he's going to be the second option. He's right there, right behind Hopkins. That game was amazing. I had a great time watching it. It was back and forth. Super interesting. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd caution on Rondell being the number 2 because last week it was Christian Kirk was the number 2 guy. They threw a lot to AJ Green too, so there was a lot of. So again, who knows who it's going to be? But at least it's a big play offense, which is cool. Mike, your thoughts on it?
2 things frustrated me about this game, and one is that any part of the Cardinals' backfield. I mean, the rushings are spread out and they're not even there. So Kyler Murray's got almost all of the rushing bet on that team right now. And then you're talking about Thielen. I mean, we talk about him being touchdown dependent, but homeboy is touchdown consistent. The boy gets in the end zone every time. So, I mean, Thielen's showing out, but those are the 2 most frustrating things about this matchup.
Touchdown consistent. I like that one. All right, Nick, your thoughts?
Well, you guys covered Rondell Moore. You guys covered Christian Kirk. You guys
Nick,
covered
your
the
thought
lack of rushing. Huh? You guys covered
I can hear you. Go ahead.
You guys covered the lack of the rushing from the Cardinals backfield. But one name I see on the stat sheet is extremely surprising. Remember we talked about some joker tight end named Max Williams way back earlier in the season? And we didn't even rank him. He had 7 catches on 7 targets for 94 yards. He must have been his birthday yesterday. Must have been his birthday. But y'all covered everything.
Hey.
Kyler Murray, man, he is the real deal. And what's his face? Kingsbury said if he was ever the coach, he would pick him first, and he stuck with his word.
He sure did. And he's definitely sticking with Kyler Murray. It's his offense, his show in Arizona for sure. And he is definitely the king of kings right now in the quarterback realm. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll cover some other games. Honey, I'm home. What's that amazing smell? Did you make my favorite cobbler?
I sure the hell did not, honey. It's my new candle, Blueberry Cobbler.
Where did you get such an amazing smelling candle?
Oh, 407 Candles. I found them on Facebook, and they have an Instagram too. When I did my daily shopping, I found out they have some other wonderful scents as well.
Honey, when you make me a sandwich later, afterwards we must go online and check out all their wonderful scents.
Oh, honey, you will starve because I won't make that sandwich, but yes, let's do that.
Well, at least it'll smell good. Yes, at least it'll smell good indeed. All right, let's talk about our next game. A game I called a Fantasy Bonanza prior to it starting. However, I was completely wrong. I had this is the Cowboys and the Chargers. Dak Prescott well underperformed, 237 yards, 1 interception. Not much on the ground either. The big play and the big actually surprise from this game was Tony Pollard. He looks like almost sometimes when you see them on the field that their offense runs better with Pollard in there. It's really strange. But look at the carries. 13 carries for Pollard, 109 yards and a touchdown, 16 for Zeke, 71 and a touchdown. So that's something to be concerned about if you're a Zeke owner. And if you're a Tony Pollard owner, that's something to be encouraged about as well. CeeDee Lamb was the go-to guy. Amari Cooper actually, he went out with an injury, but was able to come back in and resume, but really wasn't effective at all. The Chargers side of things, 338 yards for Herbert and a TD, 2 picks. Keenan Allen, 4 receptions, 108 yards, and a good day for Mike Williams, 7 receptions, 91 yards, and a TD. All right, any thoughts about this one, Mike?
Shout out Juice. I know that he's talking real big about Mike Williams being consistent, and he's true to his form. Mike Williams starting to put together a couple of good weeks, so hopefully he'll start to get to the level that we all expect him to be. Herbert, not a real good day against the Dallas, defense, which should have, been exposed a little bit by what we thought was going to be a dangerous Charger offense. Kind of pedestrian, threw a couple picks, but all in all, We're going to have to start being on the watch of what's going on with Zeke. I mean, we can't just stop and act like we're not seeing all that prep and all that promo he was doing off season. I tried to tell somebody, I'm not going to point no fingers, but a lot of it looked good, but that looked like it was for show. I don't know if Zeke is ever going to get back to the form where he was.
Yeah, no, indeed. I mean, he's definitely not looking the part. Guys, and this guy had something else to share. I'm just looking at the time. So we're just going to kind of go through, and I'll just pick one of you. And if you have something to share that you want to just let me know, all right? So we're going to move on then to the Bucs and Falcons matchup. That one, again, it was a good fantasy game to have anyone really in on the Bucs side for sure, and even on the Falcons side as well. Matt Ryan had a decent day, 300 yards, 2 TDs, 3 picks, though. Mike Davis, again, there was no running game in Atlanta. I think they just basically decided we're not going to have a running game. However, the surprise again was the use of Cordell Patterson. I talked about it last week in the Philly game. I saw them use him a lot, and they did it the same thing again. It's really effective in the role he plays. I don't know if he's somebody you're going to want to start all the time, but I would definitely roster him for now with, 2 TDs on the day. He had 63 yards, or excuse me, wrong guy, 58 yards receiving, 5 receptions, and 11 yards on the ground, but 2 TDs. I mean, that's pretty effective, I'd say. For Tampa Bay, 276 yards for Tom Brady and 5 touchdowns. I mean, this is just getting ridiculous at this point. Leonard Fournette, again, he was there, but not much again. No running game in Tampa to speak of either. No running game at all in Tampa. Mike Evans, 5 receptions, 75 yards, 2 TDs. Chris Godwin, 62 yards and a touchdown. Rob Gronkowski, wow, he's going to be the steal of many drafts, 39 yards and 2 touchdowns. And if you have Aaron Rodgers, he just delivered another touchdown for you as well. It's nice watching this while we're doing Monday Night Football, because I'm going to say, yeah, I think Robert Tonyan might get in the end zone once. All right, so in this particular game, again, it was really interesting. We're interesting to see. Nick apparently looks mighty gay doing that. So, Nick, why don't you respond to this game? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I got laughed at for picking Tom Brady, so a big F you to everybody who laughed at me because the 44-year-old is getting it done. Never bet against an old man. I had Mike Evans yesterday, had a big day, finally showed up. And on the game we're watching right now, I'm going to win this game because Robert Tonyan just scored a touchdown and sealed a big victory for me. AJ, I love you.
Live reactions. It's great.
I got to win this game. And after the game's over and after I win, I'm going to give all my
Look at his face, y'all. Look at his face, y'all. That's real joy right there.
On the fantasy note, let's not forget Tampa Bay's defense. They scored a lot of points.
It's brutal.
Agreed. Yeah, good point, Fred. Yeah, they ate Matt Ryan up in that offense. Also, just a note, we'll be talking about this tomorrow. Dr. Miller, Russell Gage went out of that game with an ankle injury, and he did not return. So that might be something to note as we go forward, during the weeks. All right, so let's move on to our next game. We're going to talk about the Bears and the Bengals. So this one was interesting because, we had been talking about the once Justin Fields took over at some point, and it looks like here it might come because Andy Dalton did go out this game. It was late, and it looked like to be an ankle injury, although they're saying it might not be as serious, so it might be a 2 or 3 week thing. So it might be something where Justin Fields is going to get a little bit of time to show himself and see what he can do and hopefully take away the starting role. Not hopefully. Well, hopefully for him, he takes away his starting role for Andy Dalton. Not that I'm wishing anything on Andy Dalton. So for the Bears in that game, again, the defense, we talked about defense earlier. They really improved in that game. But in this game, when you talk about Andy Dalton, I don't know how you can be any more effective than 56 yards and a touchdown. That's literally all he did. Justin Fields came in. He had 60 yards and threw a pick. However, got 31 yards rushing. David Montgomery, we talked about him last week having a good game in this one. Not so much. 61 yards on the ground and only 18 in the air. And really just not much offensively for the ball. On the Bengals side, Joe Burrow, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, but again, 3 picks. We talked about the Bears D a second ago having a good day. Joe Mixon kind of falling down to Joe Mixon earth with 69 yards and 2 yards reception. Tyler Boyd led the way with 7 receptions and 73 yards. Fred, your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, he was obviously, if you would have listened to our last podcast, I told you Mixon was a sit-em. Why? Because I know Joe Mixon. He did this to me every year. He has a damn good game, and he comes back with 3 bad games every stinking time. Don't trust Joe Mixon. I'm done with him. That's it.
Tell him why you mad, son.
All righty. Yes, indeed. Tell him how you really feel. So again, Joe Mixon doing his normal Joe Mixon thing. What else can we say about that? All right, let's go on to the Rams and the Colts. This was another good game, an interesting game at that. We talked about I actually talked about Carson Wentz being a sit-em because of that Rams defense, and he ended up getting injured in this game. He actually injured both of his ankles. Again, Dr. Miller is going to be busy tomorrow because also in this matchup, Darrell Henderson has a rib injury. So we'll be looking at that as well. That could be a day-to-day thing, could go on pain tolerance, could be hit the flak jacket. Let's go. Who knows? So we'll have to see how that goes as well. So basically, that was the big news out of here. As far as fantasy in the matchup, a big day for Michael Pittman, 8 receptions, 123 yards. So that was big. Jonathan Taylor, he's just not really doing much, Fred. You talked about it when they were talking about in the offseason. He's 51 yards on the ground yesterday. But again, he's going against tough defense. So that's, have to take that into account. And only 1 reception on that side as well. Matt Stafford continues to play well, 278 yards, 2 Ds. We talked about Darrell Henderson a minute ago. Injury, 53 yards on the ground and a touchdown. And Coppercup, have a cup of Cooper. Man, if you had to say 9 receptions, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's also been a great value from fantasy perspectives of where you drafted him so far this season. So, again, the connection between Stafford and Coppercup's been pretty sweet, to say the least. Mike, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, man, Coppercup, man, consistent. I think he had a rush I think in the game.
Mike, your thoughts on this game?
You were speaking.
So, yeah, I was saying how Coppercup is
My bad. I didn't hear anything. My internet went out, so apparently I didn't hear you. My bad.
It's all good. Coppercup, 2 touchdowns, involved in the offense. He had a rush. It pains me with this Henderson, knowing that I'm an owner of Darrell Henderson right now. So I'm going to definitely be paying attention to the doctor tomorrow. And not really much else. I mean, I thought that the Rams would have had more of an upper hand, but I mean, the Colts hung in there. So from a fantasy perspective, Coppercup he continues to stand out.
Could I step in and say one thing? I have never seen a defensive player disrupted so much as Aaron Donald. That guy, wherever he played, he was in the backfield. He is an amazing football player, bro.
Yeah.
Indeed. Nick, you got something?
Yeah. Again, I'm going to be Carson Wentz's shield. He's running for his life back there. Yeah. And number two, Zach Pascal, 2 games, 3 touchdowns. So let's keep the eye on Zach Pascal.
Wait.
All right. We'll get to that in a minute. And when we talk about the waiver wire. All right, let's move on to the next matchup, the Broncos and the Jaguars. An interesting game because we thought this was going to be a complete domination. And it pretty much was defensively for the Broncos, having a good day against Trevor Lawrence. He only amounted 118 yards in the air. 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. James Robinson continues to disappoint many a fantasy owner, especially me. 47 yards on the ground and 17 in the air, so just not much going on at all. Jaguars. So, Urban Meyer might want to take that old college BS and realize that you're in the NFL, sir. You're in the NFL now. That's for sure. Teddy Bridgewater, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a decent day. He's continuing to play well as well. The big news, I think, though, is Cortland Sutton, 9 receptions, 159 yards. Huge day for Cortland Sutton yesterday. So, Freddie, your thoughts on this particular matchup?
It was a decent game. I didn't pay too much attention to it. Teddy Bridgewater gets no respect. He's over-reliable. And he's just proving that he can lead the team again. Like you said, Cortland Sutton did really great. I'm agree with you. What is wrong with James Robinson? This is his time to solidify himself as the number 1 back with Etienne out, and he is doing nothing. Very disappointing, man. But that's really what I got to say for this game.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't watch many Jaguar games, but I believe Urban Meyer, just that offense just isn't translating well in the NFL. Yes, Nick.
No, I said the reason what's wrong with James Robinson is the fact that they always have to throw from behind. So he only had 11 carries, and he had
from behind. They had 114 passing yards.
Yeah, right. And
they didn't throw nothing from behind.
Huh?
They didn't throw anything. Nothing landed. They only had 114 passing yards.
What I mean is they're always behind, so they have to throw to try and generate some offense. So they're always on James
Robinson isn't going to get anything until Trevor Lawrence steps up. I mean, that's terrible. Sorry.
Well, you might
Number 1 pick.
Yeah, agreed.
Urban Lawrence steps up.
Let's take
steps out.
Yeah, that's what I agree with. I think Urban Meyer's really got it's really his doing right now. Let's bring the Texans game there.
Man, Commish, must be hard trying to get us clowns to come together for the show.
Yeah, especially keeping us motivated during the Jeffter snack breaks.
It's almost like we need a counselor or someone to at least consult us because we don't know what we're doing.
Luckily for us, we signed the best coach in the business, Vision Coach and Consulting.
They have led the way for business professionals for over 20 years.
Yeah, you know what? They offer business coaching, life coaching, and consulting services that can put you back on track for your personal goals.
You don't say, Nick. You know what? Check them out today at coachingandleading.org or on Facebook or Twitter at their handle, Coach Lead Win.
Vision Coaching and Consulting, because every champion has a coach.
And so for those that don't know, we are doing this while Monday Night Football's on, and Aaron Jones having a great night, and he just made my Orlando Sharks go 0-2 in my league. I just want to throw something. All right, so let's move on to the next matchup, the Browns and the Texans. An interesting game, to say the least. Tyrod Taylor gets hurt in this matchup, so that's something, it's a hamstring. From what the first initial reports are coming out, it could be 4 weeks. So let's see who come there. It could be this Davis Mills. Or maybe it's Deshaun. Maybe they make the call. Who knows? Baker Mayfield also hurt in this game with a shoulder injury. Jarvis Landry hurt his knee. Could be an MCL sprain. We'll talk to Dr. Mill about that tomorrow. So could be some time out for sure for Jarvis Landry. But a good day for the Browns offensively. Nick Chubb, I did have him number 1. He didn't do number 1 things, but 95 yards and a TD. So he had a good day, at least, or a decent day, did some good things. The surprise, I guess, for the Browns was Demetric Felton was their top receiver with 2 receptions, 51 yards, and a touchdown. I have no idea who that is. I don't think I'd be watching him in the waiver wire, though, so I think you're safe there. Baker Mayfield, though, he did it 213 yards at a TD. He did have a pick, but he ran one in and had 10 yards on the ground as well. Kareem Hunt was nowhere to be found in this one. So that was definitely something for me. Nick, your thoughts on this match?
No, I don't have any.
All righty.
Brandon Cooks he's still out there being the number one receiver and being Mr. Reliable for the Houston Texans. Now I did see, as far as the other stats, nothing really to speak of, other than the other news was that they said if Tyrod is inactive, they will not activate Deshaun Watson. So he's pretty much going to be jettisoned somewhere.
You're always here to rain on our parade. Thank you. We appreciate it. All right, let's go on to the next. Let's go on to the next matchup. The 49ers against the Eagles, the Eagles have been a surprise defensive team this year. Like, we've talked about them in the offseason, bound to be an easy team to get thrown on and this and that, but they just have played great defense overall. And it showed in this game. However, I think the big news is the 49ers are becoming the Baltimore Ravens 2.0. Where all of the running backs are getting hurt. Eli Mitchell hurt his he was a shoulder injury in this game. Hasty was an ankle injury, and Trey Sermon, I think he went out early with the concussion. So it's again, if you listen to TSS Fantasy, we told you to watch out for this backfield. There's really just no guessing who it's going to be. And now we're in, like I said, we're in Raven limbo and don't really know who that guy that's going to be to step up and take the all the offense. I believe they're working people out even as well. So Deebo Samuel again had a decent day, 6 receptions, 93 yards. So he was okay. Decent day there. Jimmy Garoppolo, no Trey Lance in this game. That was something else to note. 189 yards and a touchdown for him in the air. For the Eagles, it would surprise you that, or may or may not surprise you, fantasy point-wise, Jalen Hurts right now is the number 5th quarterback right now in fantasy. So definitely something to note. 82 yards rushing and a touchdown, only 190 yards in the air. However, again, combined with last week, he's been a great fantasy quarterback so far and definitely a value from where he's been taken. Quez Watkins, 2 receptions. He had the big play down the field. I think it was like a 95-yard from the end zone. So 117 yards for him in the air. Was big, but that was basically it, though, from the receiving core. Goddard was next with 24 yards. Fred. No, actually, we'll go to Mike. This is your team. Mike.
I was going to say, man, how you ain't going to give me the home team advantage?
My bad. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, man. If you would have told me that Trey Cannon was going to be our starting running back week 3, I would have thought you crazy. But all indications line up to be that's going to be the case as it stands right now. Kittle, man, he's not. I don't know. He's just he's a beast on the block, but not much relevant for fantasy right now. Kittle isn't doing much right now. So if you invested in him, like some people I know, so you're not getting any dividends out of it. So that was big. Niners defense. I mean, everything looked good on that. But we got to take note of these. I'm just now coming up to the realization that these dual threat running quarterbacks are taking over this league. These ones that are being able to run and get in the end zone with their legs. And we're even talking about the newly injured Tyrod Taylor. He was also in that mode. So
he was.
I mean, we got to start seeing that maybe we're starting to see with a new type of quarterback going back to the Mike Vick era,
Yeah, no, agreed. And even over, the course of the league, you're right. There's, those quarterbacks are coming out more and more. So that is starting to take over the league. I think this was, I had this conversation way back in like the 90s. Someone told me that, that running quarterback was going to take things over. and we saw a few, but hadn't taken over the league yet. But to your point, I think we're getting to that point now. All right, let's go on to a game that I don't think you really cared about unless you are a Jets fan. The Patriots stomping all over the woeful Jets, 25-6. I haven't said the score, I don't think, of any game, but I just had to say that one. Mac Jones had a pedestrian game. There wasn't a lot of fantasy relevance other than Damian Harris. He had 62 yards and the TD. And really, he had a really good run also in the game that I saw. I only had that one reception though for 2 yards. So again, you kind of get what you get with Damian Harris, and it's not going to be always stellar, but it seems like so far though Belichick is trusting him to be that guy, which is actually very unusual, and also since he fumbled last week as well. Zach Wilson on the other side, I just had to mention this: 210 yards and 4 interceptions. Wow, that's a lot of interceptions. So yeah, not a good day for Zach Wilson. Fred, your thoughts on this game?
Well, fantasy-wise, I hope you started New England's defense. Obviously, we ain't scored but 6 points through 4 interceptions. Wow. I think Corey Davis had 1 reception for like 4 yards, 2 yards. Jesus,
no, 2 receptions.
2 receptions. Listen, I know he's a young quarterback, but our running game better do something. We just don't have no running game. Don't start any Jets right now. None. Absolutely none. And Damian Harris, we did talk about him a lot before the season. I like Damian Harris a lot. And I told you, he might be the #1 running back in the AFC East, and he's proven me right.
Yeah, and I also told you, anyone who plays the Jets, you start their defense. So, all right. Let's go on to our next matchup, the Raiders and Steelers. This was a big surprise for me. When I was at the stadium, I was like, is this really happening? Derek Carr, big surprise, 382 yards, 2 TDs, and Peyton Barber led the way, surprisingly, in this matchup with 13 carries, 32 yards. Kenyon Drake really is nowhere to be found, 7 carries for 9 yards. Did have 5 receptions for 46 yards. And the appearance of Henry Ruggs this year, 113 yards, 5 receptions, and a touchdown. He has those spotty games where he gets open deep. Ben Roethlisberger, 295 yards, 1 TD, 1 pick. So again, Ben he threw the ball 40 times though, which is kind of surprising to me. But they kind of, like Nick said earlier, they were, his game flow, they had to get in it. And Najee Harris, same thing. What Nick mentioned earlier with James Robinson, he only had 10 carries for 38 yards, but he was able to get 5 receptions, 43 yards, and get a touchdown. The big news out of this one, I guess, if you will, Deontay Johnson injured on the last play of this game with a knee injury. More to come on that. Again, Dr. Miller, busy night tomorrow, my brother. Sorry to do it to you. So we're going to be talking about a lot of players tomorrow with that injury as well, because that could elevate Chase Claypool big time, and Juju as well. All right, so Nick, your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to win a game if you can't run the ball. That's the crux of it. It's your offensive line. If they can't get any push, you're not going to be able to run the ball. And then I'm surprised that they just let Carr just throw the ball wherever he wanted to yesterday. I was shocked. They did stop the run. Okay, they stopped the run. They did shut the steel curtain on the run, but they were an open door on the defense. So, yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. I have no stat relevancy to talk about other than Ben Roethlisberger isn't that bad. I mean, when you're throwing 295 yards, he's not as bad as everyone thinks. So, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's saying he's bad. I think everyone's just saying he's older and that they, wanted to pound the football more this year and not make him throw the ball a lot because of his age and his injury history. So I think it's more of that. That's really more of the talk than that he's just bad. I think he's just getting, he's getting older. So you gotta watch him a little bit. So yeah, my big takeaway from that is, wow, the Raiders, like we talked about this team prior to the season starting.
Damn.
I remember repeatedly saying, who are the Raiders? We don't know who they are. Well, they're definitely gonna kick your ass. That's who they are. I'm very impressed with how the Raiders play. And guess who they play next week? Miami. All right, Fred, what you got? Go ahead.
Has Gruden finally figured it out?
Maybe.
I was gonna say, we talked a lot of trash about the Raiders in the beginning when this podcast first started.
Exactly.
We talked a lot of trash.
Yeah,
I was talking about the backfield and the whole mess was like.
Yeah, we talked about
this is without their number one running back, Josh Jacobs, being healthy.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, agreed. So yeah, that's scary thought indeed. All right, let's move on to the final game of Sunday, and I don't need no comments, so I'm just gonna hurry this one up. Dolphins.
Whoa! I had a dig to the Jets.
35-0. It was disgusting. From the moment from go as I was there, I just said, man, this is awful. I was ready to leave before it started because I could just feel what was going on. But if you watch TSS Sunday, Wake Up with TSS, I already told you what was going to happen. I knew it was going to get blown out. I told you I knew what I was coming down.
Come on, dog. You didn't think it was going to be 35-0.
Bro, I said Tua is a definite sit him. Sit him.
You did. I remember you going, Tua. I remember. I took the thing. I remember. All right. So anyway, the big note for me though is Josh Allen is actually still not Josh Allen. I mean, he had a okay day, but he didn't need to be great because they ran that big play with Devin Singletary. He had 179 yards and 2 TDs. And 35 yards on the ground. So he's been pedestrian though for fantasy regardless. Look at Aaron Jones getting in the fucking end zone again. Don't he? Just go ahead and put it. Go ahead. Just stick it to me.
You sticking it to me.
All right. On that, we're going to commercial.
Hey guys, it's Mitch Lopez, your local Farmers Insurance agent. As hurricane season approaches, is your homeowner's insurance going to make the cut? Are they charging you more for your renewal or even worse, canceling you? If so, I think it's time to put your insurance company on the bench and make Mitch Lopez Farmers Insurance your number one pick for all of your insurance needs. You can reach me at 407-603-7366 or you can follow me on Facebook at Farmers Insurance, Mitch Lopez, IG, Mitch Lopez _ Farmers Agency, or you can check my website at Farmers Insurance Mitchell Lopez Jr.
I mean, it's literally a perfect picture of my life. Like I'm sitting here talking about stupid Dolphins, and then you got the creepy door open behind Mike. I'm sitting here talking about I'm sitting here talking about the Dolphins, and then of course my fantasy team gets run over as I'm sitting here talking about my sorry real team. All right, tough. Let's go on to our waiver wire ads this week. We got some big ones. We got some big injuries happening as well. So some definite guys to target. I'll let you guys go first. Give me guys that let's go start with the quarterbacks. Mike, anyone quarterback wise that you're looking to go grab right now off the waiver wire?
I mean, Bridgewater is starting to show that he could be a good week-to-week matchup depending on who they're playing. I mean, he's steady throwing the ball in the solid numbers. So I think as far as quarterbacks are concerned, if Bridgewater's still on your waiver wire and you start going into bye weeks, he might be a look at.
Yeah, agreed. Nick, you got anybody you're targeting quarterback-wise?
I keep an eye on Kirk Cousins, number one, because again, he's throwing the ball everywhere, and I look at Derek Carr, and I'd also look at Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is the Giants' leading rusher and leader in rushing touchdowns. So it doesn't really care about how he gets the points as long as he's getting the points.
All right. Do you want to cover everyone else so I don't have to go to anyone else before we go? All right, Fred, anyone here?
Well, I was saying Teddy Bridgewater, but he took him. I say Daniel Jones, but he took him. This guy. So, I mean, if it was me, I would take Daniel Jones. That kid did not lose that game. They lost that game on a silly offside penalty. He played his butt off.
No, agreed. How about the running backs? What do you guys like in the running back position? Mike?
You hit it on the head with the Cordell Patterson thing. I mean, who would have thought you'd be looking at a wide receiver in order to be a serviceable week-to-week play? This guy is rushing and catching the ball, getting in the end zone. And Falcons, I mean, what do you got to lose, I guess?
How about you, Fred?
J.D. McKissick, man, he was balling the other day. Whereas Washington, I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe how good he was. Oh, and the guy that's on my bench, Zach Moss, I left him there, and he had 2 touchdowns, like a bulldog. Like, man.
Hey, I just want to be clear, all right? When I text you guys before and I ask you who you want, that's who you stick with. Like, so when you go with everybody else,
they took all my players,
we got nothing else to say.
First.
Yo, one thing I forgot to mention, I added him because the Monday night game's going on right now, is Jared Goff. Like, he's actually doing pretty damn good again. So if he's out there, something to add, somebody to add as well. Nick, what do you got for running back? If Fred didn't take it already.
Oh no, he didn't take him. I look at Devontae Freeman, all right, as a streamer, low end flex. And I look at Tony Pollard. I told you guys earlier in the season, during preseason, Zeke, he's getting fat and slow, and he's turning into a fullback. They run the ball better when Pollard is running the ball. Just like the Eagles played better when Foles was throwing the ball. I'm telling you, Tony Pollard is going to take that job. The only reason why Zeke has got the job is because he's got $90 million, and they're not going to put him on the bench. So if you get paid, you got a job.
No, agreed. Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so receiving wise, who is anyone that you guys are looking out there? Nick, we'll start with you. Receiver wise, who are you looking at?
Okay, I'll just stick with one, and I already mentioned him, Zach Pascal.
All right, thanks for that. Mike, who you got for receiver?
I'll tell you who you should not buy into this week was Demarcus Robinson on the Chiefs. That dude had, got touchdown, got into the end zone, but when Hill comes back, and he will, and Tyreek Hill's involved in the offense, and they don't take him away, believe me when I say that there's only so many mouths to feed. So, I mean, I think that, he had a good game, but don't get happy with it.
Fred, how about yourself, sir?
I like Rondell Moore. I think he got drafted in the 2nd round. I think he'll be ahead of A.J. Green. I like Christian Kirk, but that kid has a lot of potential, and that's why they drafted him.
Yeah, I like Christian Kirk, but, and I talked about him being a good ad for you last week, even a good play. He's still involved in I think really anyone receiver-wise in that offense is good. Christian Kirk's, he's had his moments and, just hasn't really stepped up yet, but maybe he's like, listen, I mean, if I'm going to step up, I got to do it now. So I like him. I like him going forward. I think you still definitely keep him on and see. Did you bring up Zach Moss, by the way? Because I think you brought him up. Did you talk about him?
Yeah, I said that he was the bulldog with 2 touchdowns. He was
because I wanted
Bill's running game.
Yeah, my bad. I wanted to make sure that was brought up because, obviously being there and seeing the disgustingness. But I think, he ends up – the reason I want to bring him up because, they've been looking for a running game for a while. And Devin Singletary had that one run, but then I seen that they seem to lean more on Moss towards the end. So that might be something to note. They might be trying to look for – they've rode that Singletary train for how long now? Really come from it. So, how long can you ride that for – hey, let's try something new with Zach Moss. And that's looked like what they do toward the end. So he could be somebody to look out for as well. We'll talk about, real quickly, is there anybody out there that you feel is droppable? I know I didn't bring this up to you, but if anyone that comes to mind, like for me, I'll just bring up real quick, Marquez Callaway. I was so high on him. He had such a good preseason. I had him in my rankings high the first 2 weeks. This guy's done nothing. So I think at this point, he might be an experiment you might be able to drop. at this point. But Mike, anyone you got or anyone you guys got to that you think that's okay to drop at this point?
I had something invested in Penny. I thought that the Seahawks Penny was going to be more involved in the rushing attack to help offset some Carson rushes, but Carson's got a hold on that lead, and I don't think you need to carry Penny if he's on your roster right now.
Yeah, he's been injured too, but man, I forgot the guy's name, but I saw him. I saw another guy spell. I spell Carson this week. So yeah, I definitely was off the Penny train as well. Nick, how about you? Anyone you looking that was on your roster you might be able to drop?
I already dropped him. Brandon Ayuk.
Ooh, wow. Which league you drop him in?
You know what? I take that back. I did not drop him.
Okay.
He went and scooped it back up. He's like, oh.
So if I were to drop anybody on my team, it would be either Gage or Juwan Johnson.
Okay, well, I just meant in general, like if you had a big fantasy roster of anyone. But all right, that's cool. Fred, how about you? Anyone any droppable you think right now?
Not droppable, but people that pissing me off. Kenny Galladay. He hasn't done a damn thing, and he's arguing on the sideline like, "Give me the ball."
Right.
Create separation. You're number one receiver, dude.
Agreed. All right, so we'll take a quick break. We'll go over what's been going on with this Monday Night Football game. I'll give you some stats of what's going on, and we'll close it out. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Freddie the Jester from TSS Fantasy. As you know, I am a jokester. And one of the things I'm serious about is the health of my car. When my car is not working properly, I take it to the auto clinic in St. Cloud, Florida. Anytime my brakes or AC needs to be repaired or I just need general maintenance, I take it directly to the auto clinic, where they take care of all my auto needs. They are a complete auto repair shop. If you need repairs done to your vehicle, the auto clinic is the place. They can be found at 1524 13th Street, St. Cloud, Florida, 34769, and you can call them at 407-892-8104 to schedule an appointment. You can trust the folks at Auto Clinic like you can trust I'm about to have another snack break.
Yes, indeed. All right, snack breaks all around. All right, so real quickly, we're going to close it out tonight with now somebody said Aaron Rodgers was the number one quarterback this week. It was me. He's not quite number one yet, but he's on his way. It's the fourth quarter, 232 yards, 4 touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers tonight. Aaron Jones, 66 yards on the ground, and 3 receiving TDs for Aaron Jones tonight. 6 receptions, 48 yards, and 3 TDs. Mentioned Robert Tonyan, 3 receptions, 52 yards, and a touchdown. Devontae Adams, 106 yards in the air tonight, no TDs. I mentioned Jared Goff earlier. Maybe I was a little too early. 165 yards only with 2 TDs, so not a great, but three rushes for 20 yards. So he's having an okay night. T.J. Hawkinson got in the end zone, 56 yards and a TD, 56 yards and a TD for Quinez Cephas as well. So that's what we got for the Monday Night Football game, and it's 28-17. Looks like Aaron Jones actually just ran one in just now. So you're getting live updates as it happens. Aaron Jones, huge night, sticking it to me while we go out. So TSS family, we appreciate you because I don't know shit. Listen, visit us at tssfantasy.com. We have all our fun, all of our fun interactive stuff, as well as our rankings. Rankings will be out tomorrow, on Wednesday. We'll have our show about our rankings tomorrow. Check us out on Unhinged Radio, 8 to 9 a.m. Make us part of your morning commute. For us and the crew, we appreciate you, and we are out. All right. Yeah. Good job, Mike. Good job. That's the way you close it up with the true do. We've been waiting this whole time.
That was good.